Yes, we are now recording our podcast, EnJewel Uncut. It's January 31st, 2023. So excited. We have our guest here with us, Tyler.
Hi.
And we have also our co-host, Raquel Sangalang, and NJ Villanueva.
Hello.
And yours truly, Naomi Astaris. Well, we're so excited about having Tyler with us and excited about kicking off this podcast. And it's January 31st, the last day of January, which is the month where we recognize human trafficking awareness. And we're all wearing blue, but you can't tell we're wearing blue. But it is EnJewel's Uncut. So, Tyler, tell us more about you and why we're doing this for human trafficking.
So, a little bit about me, for those of you who don't know. My name is Tyler Holden. I am a student at Regent University. I'm currently in my junior year. I had to think about that. Wow, time flies.
It is your junior year?
Yeah, it's my junior year. I'm almost done. And I'm on the junior board of directors for EnJewel, and I currently sit on Virginia's Commission for Human Trafficking Awareness and Survivor Support. So that's a little bit about me.
I think back, when did came on board? It was during Miss Philfest pageant.
Yes, Miss Philfest 2019. Yes. 2019 was the year that I won.
She won, but you know what she told me? You won't believe it, Sanjay, but she comes up to me and she goes, I don't want to just win a pageant. I want to do something. And she says, can I do something with EnJewel? And I said, oh my gosh, use it as your platform? Cool. But I just thought, like any candidate, they wanted to have a platform and not really follow through. That was 2019.
Yep.
Go to 2023.
And I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yes, she is. And you have been really, truly an asset to the organization. But what's curious for me, and I'm sure others, the goal of this podcast, this specific one, is really how do we get our next generation involved? And what is curious to me is that why would you choose that to be your platform? And you were a senior. I think you were a senior.
Yeah, I was a senior in high school.
At First Colonial High School, right?
Yes.
And you were so excited about creating a club at First Colonial. But why the space of human trafficking? What I want somebody to listen to this podcast and goes, you know what, she's got something there. What would be a takeaway for some next gener to say, hey, I should also be in that space? Why should next gener be an advocate?
Yeah. So I think to answer your first question about kind of why I wanted to have this as my platform is, originally when I did the pageant, I wasn't really doing it just, say I did a pageant. I was really firstly going into the pageant to get scholarships. I wanted some scholarships for college, and that was one way to get it. And then secondly, I didn't want to just do the pageant and, had nothing to say for it. And I wanted that as my platform. And the reason why that I wanted human trafficking to be the platform is because I was always taught when I was younger, not just by family, friends, but also in school, is stranger danger, be aware of the man in the white van. I wasn't taught what trafficking really was. I didn't know about boyfriending. I didn't know about the online dangers until I was older and talked to other people about it. I was never taught about that in school. And when I realized that I wasn't taught this in school, I realized that, I could be out at the ocean front. I could be in downtown Norfolk, or I could just be at my local Target walking around and I wouldn't be able to see the signs. So I wanted to take it upon myself to educate my peers and other students.
But how did you hear specifically about human trafficking? Was it that?
I think it was you.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah, because I had never heard it before. I never heard about it in school.
What the heck is she talking about?
I didn't hear about it online. I never saw anything about it. And that's one of the driving reasons for sticking with EnJewel and being this advocate, is because I didn't know about it until you.
Ah.
Yeah.
So then you got intrigued, and did you research it? Did you say, what the heck is she talking about? There's nothing happening here in the United States? Or what was it? What triggered you to say, oh, this is my space. I belong here. This is my calling. Because that is what you've done.
I don't know the conversation, the specific conversation, but I believe it was the conversation I had with you. There was nothing that I looked up or saw on TV, no videos or anything like that. It was just a simple conversation I had with you, because I realized how dedicated you were to the space, and I saw how much, love and care you put into EnJewel, that this is something that I wanted to be a part of. It's because of you.
You make me cry.
Don't cry.
Oh my gosh. It's supposed to be a way to energize, empower, engage,
well, you
educate.
Empowered me.
And well, that's great to know. So how we need to pass that same intrigue to others, to say, hey, so that's how do we do that? So you just try to do this at First Colonial High School. You're now at Regent University. You're on a task force committee for the state of Virginia, which is in itself just unbelievable. So when it
still, blows my mind, just because I am the youngest person on the commission. It's daunting. It's it's a lot for someone of my age. I did.
Yeah. So others could follow your footsteps. You've now created that pathway. So how do we further that pathway with other high school students?
Further that pathway? I think being able to reach those students through social media, in all honesty, because social media has such a big impact on this generation. And that's where the students are getting their information, getting their news. They're not sitting down in the living room with their family watching the news with them. They're online, either on Instagram, TikTok, even on Spotify, listening to any other podcast.
How we would get high school students? Okay, so we've talked about social media as a platform. That's a way to go out there. So you think get more folks involved in that age demographic? That's really what we need to do, because as you know, average age being trafficked today is 9 to 11 years old.
Yeah.
So we need to get the word out even at a younger age, but I believe that kids will listen to other kids, and I think to train kids to train other kids. So it's more of a collegial thing. It's more kids with kids. Kids, when you have something like listening to adults, it doesn't stick with them. But if they have other kids telling them, I think they will listen. Don't you agree? So it has to be kids telling other kids.
Yeah, I agree. It's
an
interesting concept. I do think there are some studies out there that do prove this, that middle school and high school students learn more from those that are closer in their age range. And actually, someone on the commission brought up one of the studies that he was looking at. So I think one way that we can get into that space with students is to reach out to them and find advocates and those that want to become a leader, and have them start a club in their local high school. I think that's one way of doing it right now, because there are no possibilities to learn in school during the curriculum. So learning outside of school, after school hours with a club, would be the best way to do it. Right now, Regent, we have a anti-human trafficking club that started this past fall, I believe.
And how did that kick off? I mean, what made them decide to create a club?
So when I was a freshman, I started talking to some of the girls in my hall about EnJewel and about what I was doing. And they always asked me throughout the year if they could help with anything or volunteer. And they started getting involved donating when they could, or coming out to certain events if they could make it. And later on, they started asking about wanting to start a club there. And I told them, it's like, personally, I don't have the time to start the club, but I can help you, get you guys started, have that foundation, and we can have it started whenever you guys want. And I think I got reached out to from someone, I think like a year ago from now, and they wanted to start the club at Regent, and they are doing really well. They partner not just with EnJewel, but also with other nonprofits in the area.
That's good.
I think the one thing that was driving them to start the club was starting that conversation, because no one really knew what human trafficking was.
But there was a champion at that school, somebody that says, "I
someone
will
that started
kick off
the
this
conversation."
club." Yeah, because it was so important. So that's what you need to do: really find a champion that will want to find a sponsor, because all high schools have to have a sponsor.
Right.
Talk to a teacher to be a sponsor, get them excited. So maybe that's how EnJewel can help and effect clubs at schools, so that we can get other kids, young next geners, to get involved. That's what we want to do. How do we can get that out there?
We can. I think we can.
How often did your club meet?
At Regent?
Mm-hmm.
They meet, I think, twice a month.
Nice.
And they were participating this past month in the blue campaigns, Wear Blue. They were posting on their social media account everyone that was wearing blue. They've had speakers come out from different nonprofits. They actually asked me to come out, I think last fall.
Yeah,
was it last
yep.
fall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last fall. They've had Tanya Gould come out as well and speak. And I believe they have had one or two other speakers from different organizations speak, and they've also had some students speak as well about, who they are and why they're involved.
Well, that's good. What's the name of their club at Regent?
Let me double check that.
Because that would be pretty cool to get more colleges, more collegiate forces involved, and getting speakers out there and getting more prepared. One of the things that I love, we've the space of human trafficking. You can go into search and rescue. You can go into homes and housing survivors, going through counseling, therapies, and so forth. But what I love that what we do is to educate and more preventive. So that's really the space. So if our goal is to educate and prevent, I think that's what we need to be, to get more people out there to be educated. You've done the I Am and Watch, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And I was just checking to double check. I make sure the name was right. They are called Regent Rescue Initiative.
Regent Rescue Initiative.
Yes. And they're doing really well. They have, a bunch of pictures of people that were involved, and the hashtag Wear Blue campaign. Some of their students went to Free Kinds Gala, or the Freedom Gala. I thought that was really cool. And they're just getting really involved, especially with on-campus affairs as well. We, I think, just recently had a campus, like a fair to have, what are those called?
Like
Campus
expos.
fairs. Yeah, to get people involved in the clubs,
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we had one of those recently, and they were out there, and they got a lot of people out to their table, which was really cool to see. Oh, and then another thing I didn't tell you, I took a picture of it when I was at Cafe Mocha on Regent's campus, we have a table set up where we can put all the flyers for any clubs or anything. And on the table, I saw that they put Homeland Security's, like the Blue campaign, like their cards and the flyers and the brochures that had the information about human trafficking.
That's great.
And it was like just the basic information. I think that was such an awesome thing where, you know, students often go to look at what's going on campus. They also see that, pick it up, and just learn a few things about human trafficking and the science. I thought that was awesome that they put that out there.
That's what we need to get get the universities. So if we can do that for the state of Virginia, because you're on the task force committee for Virginia, not just for Virginia Beach or Norfolk or whatever. It's the state of Virginia. That's what the task force committee is, right? So that's what we need to do. That could be the goal, is to get more high schools and colleges in the state of Virginia. Let's do a little checkoff list and get them to do that for whenever they have those club. I guess you have lots of clubs come out on the floor, and so people want to hear more about what's happening in the university and the campus and join the clubs, etc. Right?
Yes.
So that's what we need to do. Engage them through that.
Yeah.
And IM and Watch. Tell me about what you liked about IM and Watch, because that was the big thing, was trying to find the proper training material, because we did test a few in the beginning. So we won't talk about that. And but we wanted something that was user friendly, age appropriate. And, like we said, victims start as aged 9 to 11 years old.
Right.
So we need something that's age appropriate. So we needed to make sure that even families who wanted to get more involved, that it had to be age appropriate. So tell me about IM and Watch and what you felt about the material.
I think that's one of my favorite training programs. I've done a lot of research trying to find what programs I would like to incorporate in clubs, or, if someone asks me for training materials or etc., I, always give them IM on Watch, because when I took it, one thing that I love the most is that they have it set up in modules, and each module is a different topic. I love that they didn't give all the information all at once, and having the videos allowed for those that have that creative mind, and when they're learning, they're a visual learner. That is such a great aspect of IM on Watch. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any other training that's like that, where it's a video,
right,
with questions afterwards about the video. And I think that's a great way to teach this topic, because it's such, a heavy topic. Reading about it is different than watching it. Watching it, you see the emotions in the actors, you see what's happening live action,
Yeah. I like the modules too. And what, like you say, as you're reading this and getting more information about the space, you're learning what the different aspects of human trafficking. And that's why I like saying that if you want to get involved, the first thing I want you to do is check imonwatch.org and get certified. So for 1 hour, after 1 hour, you get certified. You get a little certificate with your name on it. And what's great is that now we're on the same page of the hymnal, so to speak. You know the language, you know the verbiage, you know the concepts behind. So that becomes a foundation that we all work from. So, and what I liked about the modules is that I can stop, because it is a heavy topic. It will immerse you in a way that, oh my gosh, I gotta stop this for a second, take a little breather.
Right, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I think after every module, I took like a day
off.
A day off of it. Even though it does say it's a free 1 hour training, you can do it all within 1 hour if you would like to.
Yeah.
But I think personally, for me, same as you said, I took that day off. I took, a break from it, just because it is such a heavy topic. And I'm glad that they allowed us to be able to do that. And the other thing about it is, we give that out to people, but we're also still learning based off that one training, because they're putting out new materials all the time.
Yes,
which I love.
That's what I really like about it too, because they update the information. It's not stagnant. it's ever moving, and this space is ever moving. So to update information and engage more. So those who want to continue their education, so to speak, they just check on I'm on Watch and they'll see new modules being added.
Right. Based
which is
on
great.
what's happening, which is amazing. I think that's one of the best, if not the best, trainings I've seen.
I agree.
Another thing about that is that it's survivor-led.
Oh, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Trauma-informed, survivor-led information. So many people are out there doing training programs, and it's not survivor-led or it's not trauma-informed. And those are two key things, especially when they talk about victim identification and how to spot and then how to report it. So many people can say, oh, I think that's happening, but then what do you do next? How do you report the information in a way that does not put the victim in harm's way?
Or yourself either, depending on how you react.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. And so many times that you may give a knee jerk reaction, and that the John or whoever is watching over the victim, you may actually trigger a way that they actually pull the victim away and now put her or him in a much more dangerous spot. And so sometimes actually put that person in a more difficult position. So it's important to know how to spot it and then how to report it. So I love that aspect of the modules.
Yeah. I did do some research on looking at training and trying to find videos for younger students when for like elementary and middle school age. And I found one, and I think it's called SmartNet. It's an online safety course for children that it's kind of like a comic strip.
Oh, that's great.
Like a comic strip video. And that was one thing while I was on the commission, is we were looking at different trainings, what we would recommend or not, if we wanted to either recommend a training or if we wanted to create our own. So if we were going to create our own, we were going to base it off of some that we've already found that we like. Because one thing about the education and creating that curriculum is, I think personally I wouldn't want to recommend an already made training, because for Virginia's regions are all different. All of the communities are different. We have the rural farm area, and then we have the cities.
Yes.
So if we do a training that's has only like one specific topic, or isn't
so it's not specific to the community.
Yeah, it's not specific to the community. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I agree. That training and that education needs to be specific to that community and to that region,
because it'll speak more to them. It'll be more understood,
right?
And then they can actually really be reflective of, oh my gosh, that really happened in my neighborhood. But if the training isn't specific to a particular community, you can't speak to all communities. So you really have to get it so that it's specific, in that, so that it's understood and it's reflective. And I have seen some training material like, okay, that's not going to work here in Virginia. That's more California. But you don't want to be state specific, because even within the state, there are, like you say, different, the rural areas, urban areas. So.
And that was one thing that we were also talking about when it comes to like police officer training and law enforcement, and even like for teachers, guidance counselors, any therapist, because they know their community. With police officers, even between Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, there's two separate communities there, even though we're right next to each other. We have to create an education curriculum that's specifically for the people that are being trained.
That's a great point. we should interview a police officer and
Mhm.
actually see how they differ from city to city, just to give as an example. But definitely that would be, again, how do we, that's definitely another podcast. Thanks for that idea. But again, going back to next gener and trying to get the next generation involved. And would you recommend I Am on Watch, and like what age demographic do you think we could start with that? Because like you say, I don't know if that would be really.
I think for me, I took
Elementary.
it when I took it when I was a senior.
And it was good though, as a
Yeah,
senior.
it was still a lot as a senior. You know, I took the breaks, but I don't think I would recommend it for middle school students.
Okay, so
I
high
think
school.
high school.
So 10th grade, 11th grade, or maybe 11th and 12th grade. It is really a hard subject matter.
I think for those, I think personally I wouldn't do a 10th grade student.
So more like you think that so go to age instead of grade. So you think this should start 17, 18, like almost.
I think 16.
16.
When you're driving, you have more responsibility. You're learning more about the world and what's going on around you. And I think with 16, that's that newfound freedom. And I think that's when you need to teach that student about this, because they're going out on their own. They're driving around. They're going to the oceanfront. They're the ones that want to go out, explore the city without their family, and they're going out with their friends. Mm-hmm. So having 16 be the starting age to recommend I Am on Watch, I think that would be, the ideal age for that. I don't think anyone younger would be a good candidate for that training.
So now we need to go to high schools, starting at age 16. So that's the platform. I think that's what we want to do. That's a big. That's the takeaway from this podcast. We definitely want next gener. We're glad that you got involved, and I think you are a great model for that age to actually come out. We got to get the next generation, because I always say that this fight is important for our community, and it can't be just that it's only happening in Asia or Africa or Central South America. It's happening in our own backyard. So,
and people don't realize that unless you pull up news articles
and
of those that are getting arrested here in Virginia Beach, the Hampton Roads area, for human trafficking.
And you have to be careful, because some media actually like whitewashes it a little bit, and says it's not human trafficking, and they post news and it was prostitution or something like that, and we know that person was actually arrested for human trafficking. So even our news media, be very careful which ones you do read or listen to, and I won't go on that tangent, but
that's another podcast.
See, but let's write that one down. That would be a really hot button, though, because we'd have to bring media people on, TV, newspaper out there. But I believe that this fight would not be resolved in my lifetime, or even your lifetime, Tyler,
right,
or your children's lifetime. So to be able to get this ball rolling, and as we pass this baton, the baton needs to be taken by people who are championing this fight. And that's why I feel it's very important, and as you feel it's important. But how do we get people your age and younger to get more involved? And that's what this podcast is all about. How do we get the word out there? And like you say, we'll start off with social media.
Yeah. It's going to be hard. There's, in my opinion, no other way to get that next generation. Unless you have children, siblings that are in that age group, there's no other way to reach out to them. And we can't reach out to all of them. And I think social media is the best way to do that.
And this podcast.
Yes. Well, that's social media. Ish.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It is. Well, I think that's it. Tyler, thank you so much for being guest of our podcast today. And again, it's Uncut, January 31st, last day of January, and the last day where we are providing awareness for human trafficking. But it doesn't stop here. It's just the beginning, and putting the awareness out there and getting more people excited. And it doesn't have to be a Wear Blue Day only in January. Let's keep it going all year long and get people more excited about hearing more about it and to share the information. So thanks again, Tyler.
Thank you.
Thank you.